Brian, thank you very much for joining us for an episode of My Club, My Town at Portman Road. Why don't we start at the beginning with how you became a fan of the club?
Well, I suppose it was Alf Ramsey's team in the days of Garney's and Ted Phillips. And Garney's was the guy who supplied Ted Phillips with the pass, and Ted went on to score. And the crowd used to shout, "Give it to Garney's!" and he'd set Ted up, and that was it. I think he got one season about 53 goals, maybe. And, well, he went on from there, really. A few years later, I worked on the gates on the turnstiles. That was just after we got married. And that was an experience. It was all pounds, shillings and pence in those days. And you had to count it up before Security Corps came round at half-time to collect it. And that was a feat in itself. But the thing that stuck in my memory most of all was when Manchester United came down here, and the club had a system of packing the crowd in and then set ringing bells, shut the gates, pack the crowd in, ring bells, open the gates. Well, the bells went down for the first time, and Manchester guys were outside. They thought we were shutting the gates for good, so they came over the top. And I got a policeman with me, and we could not get that gate shut. Eventually there was some Ipswich guys who realised what was going on the other side. We got the gate shut, and then of course a few minutes later, after the crowd was packed in, they rang the bells and in they came again. But I've never forgotten that.
And supporting the club back then, and then what made you start working for Ipswich Town as well?
Engraving? Well, I started that in 57, and we worked for several different jewellers, and Croydon's were the main one in town in those days, and they handled the stuff for the club, the main trophies, and then fed it down to us, because there was we were one of only 2 independent engravers in the town. So we did lots of trophies over the years, and of course one of the outstanding ones in the early days was the Texaco Cup. I think I did about 20 tankards and gallery tray and a tray, which was a lot of work in a last-minute job. Anyway, Len Noy, who was the manager at the time at Croydon's, invited us to the presentation, and it was great. I mean, John Cobble was there, and Early Money, the MP for the day, and it was really a really important occasion for me anyway, in the days of flared trousers and wide lapels. And yeah, that was a privilege, I think.
On that engraving, you then had the honour of doing the UEFA Cup trophy as well, didn't you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that's all a bit of a blur, really. Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic to have that in your hands and be working on it and try not to slip. Because it was done by hand, and you had to hold the trophy in your left hand, and with small chisels, once it was marked on, you cut each individual stroke and stick it out. And so it was painstaking work in those days, but it was really important.
A little bit away from the club, but what actually got you into engraving?
Well, I was always painting in my spare time, and the art teacher wanted me to become a lithographer. And I passed the exams and unfortunately failed the medical, because I was seeing pictures slightly different to men around me, and that's why I didn't get the job. In later life, if I had men under me, I wouldn't have seen the picture exactly the same as them. So I went back to school, and then one of the teachers knew that there was an engraver needed in town, and I was sent down there, and that's how it clicked. 58 years of it, I think. Yeah.
And after that, you've spoken about the UEFA Cup and the Texaco Cup, but you've been to some huge games for the football club, and I believe there's a story about a banner in there somewhere, isn't there?
Yes. Yes, for the cup final, probably the most outstanding one for me, because we went there. I'd got a school friend who ran the Alton Broad supporters club, and he got 2 seats on his coach. So they came down and picked us up on the Felixstowe Road. And the night before, I thought, we've got to have a banner. I thought, well, everybody's going to have Up the Town or Up the Blues. So I thought a little outside the box. And Alan Hunter, who was our centre half at the time, big, strong guy, no nonsense. I painted on the sheet the night before, "Hunter, we'll eat you, Arsenal." And we got on the coach, and they said, "He's got a banner. Let's look." I held it up. I only knew one guy at the time. Whoa! We knew everybody on the coach after that.
Yeah.
That was a great day. We went up and we hung the banner across the front of the stand. It was pretty tense until Osborne got his goal. But yeah, a really wonderful day out.
And more focused, and on that banner, sorry, you've just mentioned Alan Hunter, but who were your favourite players growing up as a young man?
Well, he ran Crawford, of course, but I ended goals with Ted Phillips, didn't you? So many good ones, really. John Ellsworth was a great friend of ours, and he was a good midfield man, half-back. Yeah, I was friendly with John Pedelty because he lodged with my uncle. He was friendly with Kevin Beatley when he first came here, and my uncle said, Kevin, he said, he's going to be a really great footballer, and he wasn't wrong, was he? Yeah, it's difficult to say, really. Mick Mills was a great servant of the club, wasn't he? You tend to think about goal scorers, but really there's people at the back there is important as well. And these guys, I like to watch midfield players as well. And the one that today that excites me, so don't ask me a favourite one for the day because they're all pretty good. But the one that excites me most of all is Cameron Humphreys.
Yeah.
I think he'll come on to be a really, really good footballer. I mean, he looks like it now, but he's so young and he's got a lot of football in ahead of him. So, yeah, great prospect, I think.
Brilliant. And on coming to Portman Road and seeing the players out there, what do you actually enjoy? We're in your season ticket seat at the moment. What do you enjoy about coming to Portman Road?
We're doing very well at the moment, aren't we? So that's very enjoyable. Current manager, I think, is the bee's knees. He's the best we've had for a long, long time. And it's great to see the club coming good again. And I think we will continue to do that under Kieran. I call him a football scientist myself because I really hold him high. Yeah, probably the best guy since Bobby Robson. And I came face to face with him once. At the time I was working on the turnstiles, actually, and we used to come up second half to try and see the second half. And in the West Stand, I couldn't get a view, so I was walking down the stairs and Bobby Robbins was walking up in his very early days, and his head was down and he was deep in thought. But as soon as he saw me, his head came up and he said, hello lad, you all right? And I thought, that's something else, that is. And he went on to be, well, as everybody knows, a fantastic man after that.
This is a generational thing for you now as well in the family. Everyone's an Ipswich Town fan.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, my son's very, very keen. Yes, he loved to have been here this morning, actually. Yeah, and he sponsored one of the games because he's got a business of his own, and we sat up in, we had a meal with, and Johnny Walton was with us on that occasion. I've not got that on my notes. And my other son came along, and that was a lovely day too.
And finally, probably leaving the most difficult question for last, what does being a Town fan mean to you?
An awful lot. When we're not doing well, you're down in the dumps, and it gives the town a lift, I think, when we're playing well. And I think people, well, we obviously got great support, but I hope they're going to support the club shop because that's the badge and wear it we've tried.